Okay, boys and girls, today we're on lesson 9.5 on page 533. We are going to compare and order fractions. One of the best ways that I found to do it is to use the fraction strips. So that's what we're going to look at today. Let's look at Unlock the Problem. It says Sierra, Tad, and Dale ride their bikes to school. Sierra rides 3/4 of a mile. Tad rides 3/8 of a mile. And Dale rides 3/6 of a mile. Compare and order the distances from least to greatest. We check our green box over here. It says circle the fractions you need to use. I did that. Underline the sentence that tells you what to do. I did that. Or at least the important part, the least to greatest. Okay. So we're going to order fractions with the same numerator in activity 1. And it says you can order fractions by reasoning about the size of unit fractions. In case you forgot what a unit fraction is, that's any fraction that has 1 as the numerator, right? So 1/8, 1/6, 1/999. Those are all unit fractions because 1 is on the top. So if we come over here, I like the book. They always start with 1 whole, and I like that. And then all of our fraction strips, they are the same size as the whole. They're just broken down into parts instead, right? Okay. Step 1, it says shade 1 unit fraction for each fraction strip. So that means just shade in one part, okay? It's a little tricky, but I'll see what I can do here. So 1/4. Now I know what's her name went further than that. Sierra rode 3/4, but the directions are right now just wanting us to shade in the fraction unit. Okay, so 1/8 and 1/6. Which one is the longest unit fraction? That's 1/4, because if we look, 1/4 ends about here, 1/8 was here, 1/6 was here. So the 4th is longest, and the shortest then is the 1/8. It was the shortest. So that was step 1. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Step 2 wants us to shade 1 more unit fraction for each fraction strip. So we're just going to shade in 1 more for each one. I'm going to change my color here to yellow, and I'm going to shade in 1/4. There's 1/4, and I'm going to shade in 1/8 and 1/6. So the question is, are the shaded fourths still the longest? Well, shaded fourths end right here, the 8ths end here, and the 6ths end here. So yes, the fourths are still the longest. And are the shaded 8ths still the shortest? And we can see that they are. So we'll say yes to that one as well. We really haven't answered our question yet, but we're just going step by step. Okay, step 3. Continue shading the fraction strips so that 3 unit fractions are shaded. So come back up here. We're going to shade a 3rd one. And I'm going to change my color yet again. And shade, I'm going to use green, I guess, here. Shade that one in for the 4ths, the 8ths, and 6ths. Okay, 6ths are now ending here, 8ths are here, and 4ths are way over here. Question, are the 4ths still the longest? Yes, we are. We can see that they were, and we can see our shortest are the 8ths. And so the question says, are the shaded 8ths still the shortest? And we can say yes. Although my Y needs some help. There we go. All right. 3/4 is the longest distance. Okay, we can see up there 3/4 is the longest. 3/8 is the shortest. You can see 3/8 are this one. They are the shortest. And 3/6 mile is between the other two distances. So if we put them from least to greatest, the least or shortest was 3/8. We just said 3/6 was between them. And then our longest we wrote up there was 3/4. Now, if I'm going to fill out, realistically, if I'm going to fill this out, I'm probably not going to do it the way they did it, one at a time. Okay, so let me show you what I would do. And you'll probably agree with me. I saw that Sierra wrote 3/4. So I'm just immediately going to shade in, maybe, if I can get my right color, pen, I'm just going to shade in the whole thing at 3/4. And then the next person was 3/8, and I'll shade that in all at once. And then the last person was, I think, 3/6, and I'll shade that in all at once too. I'm not going to shade in just one at a time. So then I can mark them like I did before. I can still mark them and say this one ends here, this one ends here, this one ends here, and then I can figure out the 8 is the shortest, 3/6 is in the middle, and 3/4 was the biggest. Okay, so you don't have to do it one at a time like they had in the example. Okay, now if you're comfortable, you could try doing this one on your own. It says order fractions 2/6, 2/3, and 2/4 by thinking about the length of unit fraction strips. Remember, unit fractions have a 1 as the numerator. Okay, then label the fractions shortest, between, or longest. So fraction of 2/6, the unit fraction is going to be 1/6. 2/3, the unit fraction for that is 1/3. And 2/4, the unit fraction is 1/4. Okay, so which one's longer? We learned a while ago that if the whole is divided into the fewest number of parts, then each part in the unit or in the whole is going to be bigger, right? So this is the longest, this is between, and this is the shortest. All right. When the numerators are the same, think about the blank of the pieces to compare and order fractions. You're going to think about the size of the pieces. Okay, so order from greatest to least is greatest to least now. Greatest is 1/3. Whoop, that's not it. 2/3 was our fraction. I was comparing just the unit fraction. But overall, 2/3, I'll get this eventually. 2/3 is the biggest. And then 2/4 was in between, and 2/6 was the smallest. Okay, but again, if you're unsure, you can always draw fraction strips. And in this case, we have 3 of them. So I'm going to draw them out like this. One of them was 2/3, so I need to divide it into roughly 3 equal parts, about like that. And 2/3 is this amount. Another one was 2/4, so I'm dividing that into 4 equal parts. It's about like that. And then I'm going to shade those 2/4 in. And the other one was 2/6. This one gets a little trickier, but I know my thirds were up here, and then I can divide each of those thirds into half. So I have 2/6 that I'm shading in. Okay, and we can see now that the 2/3 is the longest. I'll label them here for us even. This is 2/3. This one is 2/4. This one's 2/6. So we can see 2/3 was the biggest, 2/4 was in the middle, and 2/6 is the shortest. Okay. Activity 2, order fractions with the same denominator. So we're going to shade fraction strips for 5/8, 8/8, and 3/8 from least to greatest. We're going to get them in order eventually. But they're all eighths, so we're going to shade 5/8 first. 5/8 first, and I'm going to draw a little line so I don't get lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 is going to end right there, so I can shade that in. I'll just do it rather quickly. A little messy, not terrible. And then we're going to shade in 8/8. Well, that's the whole thing, so that one I know right away. 8/8. Get that shaded in. And then the last one is 3/8. And I can do that one as well. There's 3/8. Okay. So now we can put them in order. And when the denominators are the same, the size of the pieces is the blank, is kind of your answer. Okay, that's your answer, the size of the pieces. So think about the size of pieces, or the number of pieces, excuse me, not the size. Think about the number of pieces to get our answer. Blank is the shortest. That's this guy right here. It's shortest, so that's 3/8. Blank is the longest. That's this one right here. 8/8 is the longest. And then the one between the two is this guy right here. 5/8 is between the others. All right. So the order from least to greatest then is 3/8, 5/8, and then our biggest or greatest is 8/8. All right. That's all I have. Again, the fraction strips for me work best. But if you have another strategy that really works, you can go ahead and use that. Okay, boys and girls, persevere, work hard, show integrity. As always, this is Mr. P, and I'm out.